Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So you are just back from your road trip?
Yeah, this is my first morning back. We got back about dinner. Well, no, yesterday afternoon. But it doesn't really count because we got back yesterday afternoon, had to unpack and everything, and then had to go to the airport to pick up everybody who flew. My husband doesn't fly, so we drove, and so we got back in time to pick them up from the airport. So by the time everything was said and done, it was, evening time, 7, 8 o'clock. But good trip, good travels, good time with family.
That's always good. And you were able to kind of see the area that was completely devastated by the hurricane. And um, tell tell
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that, because I know we talked about that last week, but
So I'm an emotional person, so we'll see how I do with this. But it was very eye-opening in two ways. One, driving down there, Kentucky, Missouri and Kentucky had just gotten hit by the tornado like 2 days before we were driving down there. So we hit a part of Kentucky where literally there's debris, pieces of people's houses and stuff like in the middle of the highway still. And like devastation on each side of the highway. And I've seen a tornado, like I've seen them in our area. I've seen but not, I don't know, it was just different. Usually you drive down a road and you see it in someone's house, in someone's yard, but to see how it had spread and to see it in the middle of the highway, it just, I don't know, for some reason it had a different effect. Um, and then you get into the Asheville area of North Carolina, and we're going on 40, and you're going through the mountains, and it's usually a 4-lane road. And there's this stretch, maybe 10 miles, probably not 10 miles, but more than 5, and that where you're going down through there and there's only 2 lanes because the other two are gone, and you can see the crews are all set up and they're working on rebuilding it up and fortifying the ground, and um but just to look down and see all the chunks of cement, and it was just the most surreal, like,
can you imagine
experience.
having been on that road while it was happening?
I know. And they were saying down there, we went to a Harley shop down there. My daughter, for whatever reason, because none of us ride Harleys, but she loves to go. I think because her papa had a Harley, and he had a bunch of Harley shirts, and another family friend we were close to did. And when he passed away, she got some of his Harley shirts. So I think that started a thing for her. And so whenever we travel, she likes to go, we find a Harley store so she can get a shirt, and she gets one for her and she gets one for her papa. And so we went to this Harley store and we were talking to them about it because they had these racks of clothes from the other Harley store that was just decimated up the road that isn't coming back. But they had racks of clothes that were new but washed because they were got wet in the storm. And it's just to sit and talk to the people about how they were affected by it, and how just how still in real time it is, and not much has changed. We went to a restaurant across the street, and the actual original restaurant was uninhabitable. So they were in another little makeshift area in this mall right up the street from where they were. And to see how much people have had to pivot and adjust, and how much loss there's been. And every homeless person you saw was like, are they homeless because they were homeless? Are they homeless now because they have no home and not that it matters, but you just
Yeah,
see
but
it everywhere.
like that still is on your mind. And probably I mean I know you, so I'm sure you were trying to figure out how you could help.
I know. I'm like, how can I fix this? My husband's like, I'm giving out money everywhere. We went to one little restaurant where, plus I love to go local business, right? Local and small, because I'm a
Yep.
small business owner, and went there for lunch. And as we were leaving, they're only open till 2:30. And as we were leaving, there was a guy coming in, and she was like, sorry, we're closed today. All the food's put away, everything's done. And she's like, you're gonna have to come back on Monday. And he's like, okay, okay, sorry, so sorry. And when he left, she's like, he's, one of our homeless clientele. She's like, we have a thing at the end of the afternoon. If you're homeless, you can come in and we'll feed you a meal and whatever. So like we left them some money, and we tried to do what we could to, that was the whole reason we went there, is to, well, not the whole reason, but that was part of the reason we picked there, is so we could try and infuse. our little bit of money into the economy. But, on the flip side, it's so great. Like God is so good and the human spirit is so resilient because even through the devastation, they were so thankful and so appreciative and so bonded as a community. And they were just talking about how they still have volunteers from other states who are still there, who have stayed this whole time and are still there helping rebuild their community, and how they are getting travelers that are coming in specifically to the area, because of course this is their big season down there, where this is their make or break season. And they're like, is anybody going to come? And so they're really excited to be seeing people coming and spending their money and caring and trying to rebuild the community. But I don't know, man, I tell you, it was emotional for me.
That is awesome that people are still there. So this week at church, so I go to the Grove, and they are doing this series called Bless, and it's I gotta remember what the words are. Um, so the bless is, oh, and I'm gonna forget the B because it's to pray for people, but it doesn't start with a B. There's a different part of it. Listen, eat with others, and then the first S that they did was yesterday was serve others. Um, and they talked about how serving others, like, do you serve others because it's convenient for you or because you're called to do it? Right? So sometimes we get that, like, oh, we should go help, but I've got this going on, this going on, this going on. Like I have a list of stuff that I'm doing all the time. And so it's it was really kind of got me in my heart. Like, do I stop, like, when people ask me to help or to serve, am I actually taking the time to do that? Right? And you think about these people who've been there for a year,
Right.
and like it's amazing.
I think it's a challenge, because I think there's a balance, especially for someone who is so service oriented. I think almost in everything you do in life, in business, in is service oriented.
That's
And
true.
so I think for someone who's so invested already in living a life of service in all the ways, just because that's how God built you, is can be a challenge, because you can always, like when I met my husband, he was like, "Oh my gosh, you are always putting out fires. Like everybody calls you for everything because you're like, because you just go help everybody." And like it was a problem early in our marriage. He's like you've got to find a balance. Like you've got to control this. And so I
I'm
think
only
that,
laughing because my husband and I have had the exact same conversation.
yeah, so if that's who you are naturally, you almost have to be careful to discern, like what you're saying, prayerfully, like, is this what I'm supposed to do to serve? Is this, God, is this what you want me to do to serve?
And I do that because you kind of have to choose good, better, best. Like, there's always good things to do. There's usually better things to do, but you kind of need to pick those best things, right?
Yeah.
My daughter sent me this reel yesterday, and it was really, like, I almost cried because it was this reel, and it was this woman who was like hugging her brand new baby, and like the words were something about, people always ask me how I'm just doing so well, and it shows her just hugging her baby, and then it shows this is how, and or it says like
Oh,
my mom, and then you see the mom like doing the laundry and the dishes and like making the bed and doing all those different things. And my daughter, see, I'm already like, my get she put a message after it. She's like, this is me just every single day of my life. And I was just
oh.
so touched that that's how she sees me. Because first off, when people ask me how I get so much done in my life, I say, because I don't do laundry or dishes. My husband does those things. My husband
Right.
serves me that way so that I can then go and, yeah, I've helped her with laundry and dishes, but I don't, I mean, I do laundry and dishes in my house, just not as often as my husband.
Right. Your husband is like my husband. They are like the quiet, stoic, strong pillar who just is like, you always picture that person behind you just like with their hands on your back, just holding you up. Like
Yes. Yes.
yeah, my husband is the same.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about this, like with your strengths and his strengths, because you were always trying to get him to like come out more. And I'm like, oh no, let's look at this like a theater. You're out front, you're on stage, and he's tech support. Like he's doing all the things so that you
Right.
can be out front. And he was like, yeah, I prefer that.
Yeah, because my confusion was in all the test things, we both come out very dominant. And because I'm always the one in front, I was really nervous. Like I had a fear. I felt bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, am I squashing him? Like, why am I always in front? Like, we're both real dominant people, real strong personalities. Why am I always the front person? Is it because, like, am I that person where I'm like, "Ah," it's me, or something like, and then, yeah, when we did our strengths assessment with you guys, and oh, you guys, oh my gosh, if you've done strengths, but you have not done it with your spouse and met and had somebody go through it with you, I mean, it was really that one little snippet was game changing for us because finally, because I was always asking him, I was always, like you said, trying to not push him to the front, but like asking and asking him, are you happy? Is this what you really want to do? Are you, because I just couldn't comprehend how he was happy because I wouldn't be. And we're both so dominant. But then you were like, yeah, but not dominant in the same way. He
No.
doesn't want to be the front person. He likes that you're the front person. He wants to be the strong person who supports and holds you up and keeps your world together so you can be the front person. It's
Yeah.
like, well, isn't that cool? Like I knew God paired me with the right person and brought him into my life, but the more you learn, it's like, oh, good job. Like, wow, look at you, God. Like you know me so much better than I know myself, which is obvious, but still you
Shocker.
get, I know it's obvious, but you still at those little moments where you're like, wow, the little details.
It really is. And having that person to support you,
Hmm.
I always tell my husband he's my kite string, right?
Mm.
Because he doesn't want to be out front. He doesn't want to, and he's like, well, but I just hold you back. And I'm like, oh no, no, no. A kite cannot fly without that string holding them down. Plus, I bring you to higher heights. I bring you to see things that you wouldn't normally see. And that's been really cool looking at our strengths because like you said, when you have both the strengths and you can look at and you can see how you support each other, where you might butt heads, and so then you can have clearer communication. Uh,
Yeah.
and I have to tell you, I'm so excited because a couple of weeks ago on here, you were like, "Oh, you should do strengths in marriage classes for churches." And I talked to my pastor, and he's super excited about this. So I am moving forward with those.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so I've started putting together. I think I'm gonna start out with like a 90 day, not a 90-minute session of like come learn about it, learn why you would want to do this, and then I have a 6 week program.
Of course.
So,
See, you are serving at church.
yeah, well, it will happen soon, but yes, yes, that's how I'm
Very
going to
cool.
be serving there, and from there growing it into other places as well. Because
I mean, could you? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, no, because there's just such a need. There's
Right. Can you imagine? Think back. How long have you been married?
30 years.
And I've been married 27. So, I mean, just go back even 20 years. Like, think 20 years ago, had you understood strengths or even known they existed the way you do now, like,
Totally
what
different.
a game changer that would be.
The last 4 years of our marriage, we have had the best communication, the least amount of arguments, because we have the words to say, is that what you really meant? And that's usually my husband saying it to me.
Yeah.
Because activator, it's ready, fire, aim half the time.
Yeah.
Like, is that what you really meant to say? I'm like, no, how did you hear it that way?
Right.
He's like, because that's how you said it.
Yeah.
And so we're able to stop the arguments before they become a big blow up because that communication is just so much better. Like for him, he needs the time to think about things. He has, oh, and make sure they're done the right way. So he has 5 executing, 4 strategic thinking. When you look at your domains in your top 10, if you have 3 of any strength, and there's 4 different domains, then you like it. Like that's a dominant domain. If you have 4 or more, you really like it. And if you have 5 or more, you are absolutely obsessed with that. So having 5 executing, like he wants to make sure things are done the right way, right?
Yeah.
Or strategic thinking. So he really likes to think, create, and learn. So he needs time. I have 5 relationship building. I am obsessed
Mhm.
with like people and serving, and like he couldn't care less. He's
Right.
like, I'm
Yeah.
not about the people except for his family. Like he's super, he says we don't count as people in his,
Right. The people he lets in, he is
yeah. So
like
he
ends of the
has
earth for.
relator high-ish, so it's in his top
Mhm.
15. But that means his group is very, very small. I have includer in my top 10. So I'm like, everybody's invited, but I have 5 relationship building, 3 influencing. So I love to connect with the right people and move them forward. That can drive him insane because he's like, why are you always pushing me to do different things? Well, wouldn't you want to? Well,
It's like,
once
no.
I looked at his strengths, I was like, oh, no, actually, you don't want to do that. So I approach things very differently with him, especially if it's doing something with a crowd or being out. I present it differently to him. Like a lot of times I'm like, hey, I'd really like to go to this thing. Or especially if I'm presenting at something, like I just need to see you out in the audience,
Yep.
or backstage or wherever, because just knowing that you're there, I always say he's like my whoopee, my comfort blanket.
Yeah.
And so having that language versus, hey, I need you to come and talk with all these people. So I tell him, you don't have to talk to a single person. You're there for me.
Yep.
Like, okay, I'm there for you. Such
Yeah. It's so good. So good. And I just think, like I said, what a difference maker that is if you can go into it and because our natural inclination is to make everything about us. So it's like if Dion reacts a certain way, it's like, what did I do wrong? Or what did I do? And or you make it about you. And so whenever we have moments, that's the first thing I can do now is stop and be like, okay, first of all, is this even about me? Like what's happening here? And then it's like, oh, he's just being him. And it
yes.
really has nothing to do with me. And to be able to make that separation, I think saves you so much unnecessary, like little, wounds or monkeys on your back in marriage, right? Because that's what happens a lot of the time is marriages start to break down because just one little peck at a time and it builds up. And a lot of times it's just lack of communication. Something's building up that doesn't even really exist other than in our own heads where we're telling ourselves this narrative. And so and Dion and I are the same as you and Michael. Like there was a couple times on the trip where we were like going back and forth and getting a little frustrated with each other. And it's like, okay, wait, we're saying the exact same thing. We just say it the opposite way. And like literally that's the funny thing, right? Is we're saying the same thing, but he doesn't understand what I'm saying because I'm saying it backwards. And I don't understand what he's saying because he's definitely saying it backwards. But we're actually saying the exact same thing.
Yeah. And
So
that's what I recently negotiated or mediated a conversation between 2 of my boys. And I said, you guys are saying the same thing, but you're not understanding each other. It's like
right.
one of you is an Apple and one of you is a PC. And my son was like, I don't think either one of us want to be an Apple. The Apple people, which is funny. My husband's a graphic artist and we're not Apple people here. But um being able to see what both of them were saying, and I'm like, you guys, you want the same thing. And
Yeah.
then when I was able to put it in words that each one could understand, because I have their strength, well, no, I have one of their strengths report. The other one is too stubborn. He doesn't want me to see his strengths because then I would label him. I'm like, oh, sweetie, you don't understand what this is all about, but slowly we'll get there.
Is that
Uh,
the artist or the other one?
The other one, the
The other
hurdy-gurdy.
one. Okay.
The,
Okay.
the one who will not play an instrument unless it is completely obscure and he has to like figure out how to play it on his own because nobody teaches
Mm,
it. He has to go online and yeah. But he also, I know it's so weird. I know he has empathy super high, but he doesn't understand it. And so he just always
mm,
feels so much, but he feels it so much it makes him like angry and he doesn't know how to get it out there. And so we've had a lot of conversations about helping him to understand that the reason he gets mad at people is because he cares too much.
yeah.
And when he understood that, it was interesting because he didn't realize some things that he was doing that was hurting somebody else. And he's like, but I'm trying to do this. And I'm like, I get that that's what you're trying to do. This is how it's coming off. And his poor little heart broke, right?
Yeah.
So understanding your strengths can help mediate a lot of those things. And then, like, I can't wait. So, what I need from people, I need your prayers, like
Mm,
that the money will come in for me to, I have permission to publish this book now, right? So, either somebody who wants to, like, yes, let's publish this, or somebody who wants to, like, do a Kickstarter. Maybe I should do a
yeah.
Kickstarter. I've done a Kickstarter with my kids' books before, and it wasn't really great, but this is a totally different type of book. So maybe I should do a Kickstarter or I think you mentioned a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Why? I mean, why not? Right? Why not? Why not? I already Venmoed you money. Why not?
Did you Venmo me money?
I did.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I
Y-
I
You'd see
didn't
it sooner or later. I'm so worried about it. I saw your thing. Yeah, as soon as I am so excited for this book. If people had an idea of, I got the sneak peek, So I
I'm gonna
think
cry, by the way. Okay.
I just, so going back to the strengths things. I mean, if you hear us talking about strengths in general and the conversation we were just having on when you understand who you are, even like on my vacation, it was so interesting because it's always evolving. That's the thing is it's not a one and done sort of situation where it's like, oh, I read my thing and now I know I'm this. Um, it's it's always evolving. You're always understanding more about yourself and understanding how it plays into your strengths. Vacation, we went and we connected with Mama. We connected with one of my employees, which is so cool because in a remote world now, I have an employee. She's been with me almost 3 years. We've never met in person. We see each other on Zoom almost every day. And so I got to actually, hug her and meet her in person. And those were like the highlights of my vacation. And once upon a time, I remember saying to my husband, because we would always go on vacation, it would be to go see family, go to be, and I said, we need to take a real vacation where we just go do things because I had these friends that go, do things on cliffs and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, we need to do that too, like, and not just go see family. But this was the first time it clicked with me. I'm like, of course, those are my favorite things. Like, I am high relator. I am, I have 5 relationship building strengths. And so it's like, that made sense to me. It's like, of course I love that. That's always going to be my favorite vacation is when I get to go and connect with people I care about because that's who I am and that's okay. I don't have to, go jump off a cliff or do whatever in order to call it a real vacation, quote unquote. And so you're always learning, you're always adjusting. That's just your general strengths, your Clifton, here's your general strengths. But you in this book take it to a whole different level because God prompted you to say,
I was
okay,
gonna say,
now I want you, Renee, to take this concept and these strengths and let people know how they tie into me, how they tie into my word, how they tie into biblical principles and being a godly person in your strengths and connecting and partnering with God within your strengths and in your own way, because we are not all called to do it the same way.
no, absolutely not.
And it's the little things that can detour us or make us question things. Even your question about church earlier, where it's like, am I supposed to greet people at the door? Am I supposed to do this? Like, we all ask that question. We see other people doing something, and then we're like, is that what I'm supposed to do too? Am I not doing it right because I'm not doing what they're doing? And strengths always helps you come back to, that's not necessarily the right thing for me. And that's okay because God made me to have these things be my right things. And I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't greet at church, but I'm just saying, we tend to
Oh,
go to that place.
I would totally be a great greeter at church because I have woo
You
high.
would be.
You have
Yeah.
woo high. Okay,
Yeah.
so um, Eddie Villa, who is both of our mentors in Unleash Your Strengths, and we were at Faith Over Fear with him when all of this went down. So he and I were in he has an inner circle twice a month, and I'm part of the inner circle.
Mhm.
And we were talking about accepting strengths and a bunch of things about strengths. But one of the things that came up was woo and how woos can be selfish, right? They can be seen as look at me, whatever type of thing. But that's if you don't know who you are in your strengths, right? You can come off as fake or just salesy or um different, which those words, manipulative, we talked about this, those
Yeah.
words before were like, ugh, right? Except when you know who you are and you've wooed yourself, then you know that that's not who you are. And if somebody says that, you can be like, "Oh, hey, let's have a conversation about that. What was it that you saw that I did? And let me explain." Right? Now, that is like the woo. Where is it? Here, let me read the Clifton Strengths short thing of woo. And the reason I want to do this is because then I want you to see how we've rewritten it. God and I rewrote it with a faith base, right? So, sorry, I'm trying to get to where it is in this book. So, woo. People exceptionally talented in the woo theme love the challenge of meeting new people and winning them over. They derive satisfaction from breaking the ice and making a connection with someone, which that is really cool. Like we're talking about, and especially woo and includer, it's kind of surface. Like I can meet lots of people, learn a little something about them, but I don't go deep, right? I just try to make everybody feel really welcome. Um, you have relator high. So you love to meet lots of people, but you'll hone in on that one person and then you sit down and you have a deep conversation with them.
Hmm.
Like it just really deep. But woo rewritten as talent. So we were calling them the 34 talents, which Clifton Gallup has
Who's
lots of
calling them that?
words. I am like in the
Okay.
book. I put it down as 34 talents versus the
Okay.
34 strengths.
Gotcha.
Just because I've rewritten what it is. So woo in excuse me. Sorry. Enthusiastic and connecting with others, those with woo reflect God's welcoming spirit. Their gift for building rapport and encouraging others creates bonds that mirror God's love, inviting people into meaningful fellowship and community. Like, doesn't that sound so much better than a vapid person that just likes to meet lots of people?
But even, I mean, so let's take away that piece because I always think, right, if you understand strengths, it's like when you get that person who's like, ew, slimy sales car guy, they're probably the opposite. Like their woo is probably pretty low, and that's why they just don't get it. And they have because it's just,
Yeah.
uh, but even if you take just the general Clifton strengths and you read what woo is, and then you look at it from God's perspective, I mean, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you just think about this for a minute. If you took your top 10 strengths and you woke up every morning and you read to yourself what God sees in you in the top 10 things that he created in you, like how would you function differently in life? Because your brain doesn't know the difference. You read that every morning, you talk to yourself, and your body's going to absorb that, your brain's going to absorb that, you're going to start living through that, and that changes lives, yours and the people around you.
So
And I'm not saying that lightly.
do you have yours close by? How we rewrote it?
I do not have it close by. I
Close.
have it upstairs. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Wait.
I emailed
No,
it.
I have my strengths prayer close by.
Okay. So so with one of the things that Eddie has us do is he has us look over. Sorry, I'm trying to look this up at the same time. He has us take our top 10 strengths and put it into a um calls it a strengths proclamation and DNA. So the proclamation is I love to do everything in a way that honors my desire to, and then depending on what your domains are, relationship building, connect with the right people, influencers, love to move people forward, strategic thinkers need time to think, create, and learn, and executors need to make sure things are done the right way. So taking that and shifting it and putting a God lens on it, it we like to connect people to God. We like to move people toward God. We like to think, co-create, and learn God's message, and make sure things are done God's way. And then taking your top 10 and rewriting it in ways. So like with woo, we love meeting new people and winning them over. But in this way, it would be um, building rapport and encouraging others to create a bond with God, right? So, or or words around that. There's lots of different ways to say this, but what I do is I take at the top 10 to 15, depending on the person and how far they go in their strengths, and rewrite it. And I did that for Shannon. Did you find it?
I did find my faith-based DNA.
All right.
That's what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read
Okay.
it
So
because this is how I see
this is
Shannon.
mine. And you guys, I'm amazing. Just
You are.
you read this and it's like, wow, I am amazing. Um, I serve my divine purpose in a way that honors God's assignment for me to connect people with God and move others to walk with God. I do that best by taking swift action whenever he nudges me, knowing even the smallest step can propel someone's faith forward. I express God's truth clearly and passionately, using my words to inspire hearts towards deeper relationship with Him. I treasure building loyal connections, walking alongside people in genuine fellowship and trust. My upbeat spirit reminds others to look for God's goodness in every season, infusing hope wherever I go. I see the divine thread that unites our stories, reassuring those around me that we're all part of His bigger plan. I'm sensitive to the emotions of others, offering compassion that reflects the tender heart of Christ. I find true fulfillment in setting and achieving meaningful goals, each one an opportunity to glorify Him. I gather resources and insights that enrich our collective understanding, helping us grow stronger in faith and service. I love to nurture the potential in people, celebrating every small step as they become who God designed them to be. Meeting new faces energizes me, and I welcome them warmly into God's family. Finally, I hold a vivid hope for what lies ahead, believing that He has amazing plans that will unfold as we faithfully take each step together. I mean, seriously, does that gives me goosebumps every time still. And to know that God sees each of us, not in that way, but in that way with our strengths. And
Yeah.
for Him to have honestly chosen you, Renee, and said, hey, you're here, you're listening, you're ready to do what I want, and this is what I want. Like, let's create something that gives people words they will understand to help them see who they are in me.
It, so this is the urgency that I've had to get this book out, right? To write it, to get it out, because I honestly, it's not me. There's portions of it that are very me, and then there's all these portions that are like, I read it and go, oh my gosh, that was really, really good. Because it was given to me. It was a gift. And having that for you, like you can say all the affirmations in the world, I am so strong, I am so beautiful, I am so rich, right? And your body goes, are you kidding me? Can you lift anything up? Or like
Right.
my favorite one is I'm so rich. Like we're supposed to like manifest this. I am so rich. And your brain goes, no, you're not. You got $5 in your pocket, $20 in the bank. But if you say, why am I so rich? Oh, well, you've got $5 in your pocket and you've got $20 in the bank, and look at all these friends. So you can change it to the form of a question and your body looks for the answer. But with this, you took the assessment. The assessment said, this is who you are in this order, and you are infinitely unique. There's no one out there like you. So when you put that and you say that daily, you affirm to yourself daily, this is who I am. And you're right, you read that. And Shannon, you are amazing. I wrote one for myself and I'm like, dang, I am amazing, right? This is who God created. God created us all to be amazing and beautiful and fabulous and wonderful. And so often we listen to this stupid voice in our head that tells us we're not.
In our own way. He created us all to be amazing in our own unique
Yes.
way. And when you understand that and you can lean into and accept who God created you to be, you stop beating yourself up over the things that you are not. Or, or you have that one friend who, because they're so different from you and you don't necessarily understand that, you feel less than because they're like, why do you do that? And then you start to think, oh, there's something wrong with that. Because that's what we do. We're humans. That's what we do to ourselves. And this is something that I can go back to every day and be like, this is why I do that. And that's perfect for me because that's how God made me.
Yes.
And I don't need to apologize for it. I don't need to be different to it. I do, however, have a responsibility to grow in it and to become more of who God wants me to be and to lovingly share that with people and say, well, this is why I do that way because this is how God made me. And God made you different. And that's great. That's what makes the world work. Because if we had a world full of me's, that would be horrible. Like there would be, yeah, I mean, like of anybody, God created the uniqueness for a reason.
I'm just thinking if it was all me's, there would be no laundry or dishes done.
Right? I,
There would be lots of
uh,
chickens, though.
yeah, lots of chickens. Uh, so I just, the gift that it gives you is beyond what you can really comprehend. And obviously, I feel like today we must have something really important to say because you and I are both like coughing and like,
It's so weird because normally, like, I don't feel sick or anything, but yes, you're like, I
yeah,
feel this constriction. I feel like something's trying to stop me from getting this out there. But the most important message, and actually, it's really funny. So last week I was featured on my neighbor's podcast, and I had no idea how big her podcast was, right? She invited me to be on it, and I said, "Great, I'm not going to listen to it because I want to just present who she and her podcast partner were on air. Like I had their reports, I told them all about themselves, and then we got into faith and we got into my book and we got into how this would be great for marriage, like the things that we talk about. And we get done and she was like, "Okay, so I always like to end with a quote." And my brain went like, "What is your favorite quote?" My brain went absolutely blank. Or you could just tell us something. And I was like, you know what? God loves you just the way that you are, or something. I can't even remember exactly what I said, but it was essentially that, right? Just
yeah,
ending with this overwhelming love that God has for you. Because that's what I feel inside. Like I have to get this out. I need to let people know God loves you, who you are, how you are. And most often we don't take the time to listen to that because again, we've got the little voice in our head that tells us we're not worth it, we're not worthy, we're not any of those things. And that's not true. Like he's just
right.
standing there and he's like, I'm right here and I'm telling you, you are amazing and you are loved. You are so loved.
Yeah.
right? And it was funny because we got done with that, and I started talking about how at my church they're doing this bless, which is all about like connecting with your neighbors and evangelizing. And she goes, "Well, you know, you just evangelized to like 102 countries." What?
You
I
mean
mean,
we don't just have 14 people in Maple Grove listening? Is that what you're thinking?
I was, and and then I went and they do a beautiful blog. So you guys, it's oh my gosh, my brain is something. Oh, Ivy Unleashed. You should check out Ivy Unleashed. It's really,
Ivy
really
Unleashed.
good. I will post it because I think it's coming out later this week, the one that we did. So I'll be posting that. But it's
Did
just,
you know the name of it?
yeah, Ivy Unleashed. But I hadn't looked
I
it up.
know. I just thought it was interesting that there was Unleashed in the name.
Yeah, and that's what we just it was really good because we talked about unleashing your strengths and faithfully unleashing your strengths. And she's like, "You're perfect for Ivy Unleashed," right?
Yeah.
So it's I think if we had anything to end on today, I'd love to just let you know that yes, God loves you just the way that you are. What about you, Shannon?
I just think on a personal note, just to blessings to you. Like a lot of people are called to do things and out of fear, don't. I mean, God gives us opportunities every day and we get to choose if we're going to show up or not show up. That's part of free will. And you, in a moment of just finding this relationship with God, just it was all new to you. And you just were like, okay, God, this is like, I don't know how, I don't even understand, I don't know any of the things, but I'm going to go. You say go, and I'm going to go. And that's what we're supposed to do. So I'm so happy for you and so proud of you that you did that because 99% of the people would not have. And I say that truly. And it was never a consideration to not. And I think that is great that God put it so heavy on your heart that it was just burning in you. Like you were just, your brain would not shut off. And this came together quickly, but it is something that can change your relationship with yourself, can change your relationship with God. And I hope and pray that it really gets out there. The book needs to be made, it needs to be published. People need to, especially right now in this world where there's so much brokenness and so much self loathing and so little of God in certain places, that this is needed. It's so simple and yet so profound at the same time. And so, wherever it goes, I'm so proud of you and so pleased to just know that you followed God's path. And I hope people and I pray people show up to support this.
All right, I'm gonna cry.
With that, have a good Tuesday.